This is Dee Dee Says Podcast, and I'm Chris. Today's episode will be a bit different from our normal setup. In this episode, I sit down with one of my dearest friends, Tracy Sepak. Tracy tells her story on losing her father unexpectedly and her process with dealing with her loss, and how her and her family navigated through that time. I want to thank Tracy and her family so much for this opportunity and giving her story. I hope you enjoy. Clint, this is for you. All right. So, hello, everyone. This is Dee Dee Says Podcast, and I am with one of my best friends, Tracy Sepak. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's
Good.
been a day, but thank you so much. So, today we're going to talk about Tracy and her father. Tracy's father passed away unexpectedly. It's been about
almost 6 years.
6 years now. Yeah, I was going to say 5. Yeah, 2012. Wow, I thought it was 13. Wow. So we're going to go into that. Again, thank you so much, Tracy, for doing this. This is amazing. And I'm excited for everyone to hear your story.
Oh,
so,
well,
cool.
Thanks.
So, first question. What was your headspace when you first heard the news of your father passing? Given the fact that it was unexpected, I can imagine it was a little hard to kind of wrap your head around. But what was it like taking that news in?
Yeah. So I was 25 and I had lost people before. Like my grandpa had passed away when I was in college and, friends, but nobody that was like, I was close to my grandpa, but it was kind of different because he had dementia. And so it was almost like this like grieving process kind of started before he even passed away because he was kind of gone. But anyway, so, I will never forget. My phone wasn't even in the room. It was in, the kitchen. Cause I was doing this like 12 days of Christmas for Joe's birthday. Birthday. Oh, good gravy for Christmas, for Jesus's birthday. But anyways, I'd left my phone on the counter. So I remember the phone ringing and Joe said, "Tracy, it's your mom." And I said, "What time is it?" And he was like, "It's 4:19. I will never forget that. So it was December 18th at 4:19. And I just thought, oh crap, somebody's in the hospital. They lived with my grandma at the time. And so I was like, somebody's, gone to the hospital. So they called me and, my mom I was like, "Hey mom, what's going on?" And, when she told me, she just, it just came out of her mouth like, "Your dad passed away." And I remember the first thing that I just turned and looked at Joe. And I said, "Mom just said dad passed away." And it was just the weirdest, that was the word I kept using for, I don't know how long, weird, because it was just like, I couldn't, because you're in shock and you don't know how to deal with your emotions, but you know that you're like heartbroken, but you've never experienced it before. And it's just this like fog of trying to like figure out, what you're feeling, what you're going through. And, it was kind of this weird thing. So we had moved 6 weeks before that happened away from them. So before that had lived about 5 minutes from them. And then we moved about 5 hours from them. So a lot of times I was like, God, why did we move 6 weeks before he passed away? But it's all right. It all works out for a reason. But so it was weird. Like my mind went into this, like, I've got to get to my mother. And I also was like, but I was also like, just wanting to sit on the ground and just cry. So it was kind of this weird, like, I don't know what to do. So, and I was talking to my mom, and she's kind of like, hey, you should wait on your brother, and y'all should ride together. And I was like, there's no way in hell, Mom, that I'm waiting for my brother. Love him, but I just felt this need, like I have to get there to her as fast as I could. And so the grief that hit me just kind of like, it's a weird emotion, because to kind of distract yourself from the grief, I think you almost try to stay busy. That's the mode I kind of went into. Was like, I got to get to my mom. I got to take care of her. I got to whatever. And then there was Joe, my husband, who was taking care of me. So it was kind of like this, I don't know. But yeah, my headspace was honestly like, I need to get to my mom. I just needed to get to her.
Yeah. So how were you the next day?
The next day. So, it was kind of weird. Actually, I don't even know if you remember this. Y'all were there the day that it happened. Like when we got to Lubbock, you showed up, and it was like at 2:00. And so that, I remember showing up at the house, and there were a ton of people there. And so that was kind of, I don't know, like great. Loved that we had all of that support, but it was also like,
just kind of wanted space.
Everybody was there to experience, like, me and my mom seeing each other for the first time and all that stuff. And at the same time, like, it's weird, but at the same time, it was kind of like, it didn't matter. Like, we were like, I mean, we're going to have the reaction we're going to have. It didn't matter if people were there or not. You know what I mean? Sure. So the next day, so that night, I remember waking up, and it was almost weird because I woke up in the middle of the night, and you feel kind of, it's almost like you've forgotten. And then you wake up and you're just like, oh crap. And it's just this heavy thing. So that night, I don't know that anybody's ever actually heard this story, but Joe, I went and I was like reading all the Facebook posts or the text messages or all the stuff that people had kind of just encouragement, I guess, for our family going through the hard time. And I was sitting in the chair, and it was so weird because Mom woke up at the same time. And so she came in the living room where I was, and she saw me, and I was actually sitting in the chair where she found my dad. She was the one who found him. It was just like, she just started bawling. She was like, we were up at the same time. We just kind of started talking, and that's what she saw. She just, that was the last thing she had seen was my dad in that chair. And then I was there the next night. And so anyway, so the next day, there were a lot of people who were like, okay, well, this is what you've got coming up. Like, we had the pastor come by who was going to do the funeral. We were supposed to, go to the funeral home and plan all that stuff, which is crazy ridiculous that you're trying to make all of these huge, massive decisions, not only like service wise, but monetary wise. And it just seems unfair to make those decisions with grief in your head.
And that,
yes.
That's so sudden.
Yes.
That turnaround.
Yeah. And writing the obituary and picking out the casket and the flowers. And there's just all this stuff that you don't really think about until you have to do it. And so I think it's good when people kind of get to plan ahead, but they hadn't really ever talked about that. But no, my daddy was very laid back. So we were like, he's not going to care. He doesn't care. Right. Like, he doesn't care. Yeah. He's not here. Funerals and stuff are more for us anyways. Exactly. But anyway, so the next day, that was kind of, that was hard and interesting, and seeing all the different dynamics that, all the different people kind of played, in my family, like my brother and me, just kind of how grief is interesting and weird, how people deal with it. It is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like, everybody experiences something different. And I know that people are trying to be encouraging, right? When they're like, I know what you're going through. And I appreciate that. I love when people try to encourage you. But at the same time, I try not to say that to anyone who's going through something hard, because like, I don't know every facet of their life. I don't know the background. I don't know the history. I don't know, even if somebody's like lost their dad when they were younger, like, even if we're similar situations, like, I don't know. I don't know what they're going through. I have no clue of what you're feeling. Yeah, that's one thing I try to always kind of, like, I don't know what you're feeling, but if there's anything I can do to help you, like, please, I'll go run into a wall if that's what you like. Yeah, just to make this as smooth as possible. So, definitely. I do remember for it being so, because I remember just showing up,
And I remember it being so packed in the house, but it felt so quiet at times.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, it was a very just kind of a, I mean, of course, right? It's going to be an uneasy feeling, but it was to a degree where, everyone's together, but it's for the wrong reason.
Right.
And it was kind of just trying to figure out and like navigate through all of that, how to have a conversation, how to talk to people.
Right.
And you touched up on my next question that I want to ask. So everyone does take, I feel like takes on different roles in time of grief. And one thing that I definitely noticed with you was you were that foundation, which was, I wouldn't see any other way. Not that that's your role you want to be in. But you have kind of like this thing about you just kind of takes hold of the situation when it needs to be, which is amazing to see. But given all of that, where did you find kind of that strength, and how did that, because it's not like somebody just taps you and says, "Hey, Tracy, we need you to
take role.
Yeah, we need you to take.
You need to take point on this."
Yeah. So, where do you find that? Where did you find that? How did you find that?
Right. Well, I think there's a lot of things that, okay. I mean, Chris, you know me, and I love me some Jesus. I love me some Jesus. I do. And and so as you sent me these questions and I thought about it, I really was like, okay, like there's nothing, like, first of all, that it was only him. I thought of like 2 Corinthians where it says like, your grace is sufficient for me, your power is perfected in weakness. So like that is a time when I was probably the weakest in my life that I can imagine. I thought back, like that is where, and I'm okay with being that. The question you sent me, sorry, I'm all over the place, but was incredibly humbling because I did not see myself that way at all. I think that's a very gracious thing for you to say, because I don't think I saw myself as a mess on the floor. But I also in my head thought, this is not something that my mom needs to be. Like she doesn't need to try to be, although she tried, she does not need to be the person that's strong for everybody else. And my brother is a very strong person in a lot of ways. And he's also a very compassionate and passionate person. So with all of that passion and compassion, like that brings a lot of emotions as well, which is how my dad was. So I love that about Rex, that he is, such a passionate person. So some of that is kind of harder maybe to like, he let out in a lot of different ways, and I'll tell a story about that in a second. It was actually pretty funny, but, so yeah, so I mean, like I think about that, and like the only way that I was able to make it through anything, and I think my mom and brother would say the same thing, because they all love them some Jesus too, is that really genuinely is the only way we could get through. And like we had our body, like people from the church that just poured into us and brought us, like we had so much food. The Baptists don't know what else to do except for like, here's food. I'm sorry. Here's a casserole. And I love that. I'm like, that's how they know how to help. So like we were very well fed. And so, super thankful for that. But, so seeing my mom thinking that's not the role she needs to play, my brother being more of like he was more of kind of like a physical presence. So with my mom, he'd be like, this is when there are two things that I think of during that time, like right that week after my dad passed away, that 2 times that we laughed really hard. And I know it sounds weird to say like that, but I mean, they stand out in my head. So after we went to the funeral home, that meeting I was talking about where you have to just, the plot, the flowers, that all the garbage that you have to plan. When we left, we all got in the car, and it was me, my husband, Joe, and then my mom and my brother. And they all we just were like defeated. We were beat up, just like, oh God, we're exhausted. Our brains just kind of wanted to shut off. And so Joe's driving and I'm sitting in the front with him. And I hear my brother in the back talking to my mom, just saying like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I wasn't that much help. I just wasn't, I just didn't, he just kind of didn't feel like he contributed a lot, although, so then my mom kind of was telling him, no, like you brought me coffee, you put your arm around me when I was crying, you brought me a tissue when I had snot all over my face, he kind of met physical needs as I was meeting, kind of like, okay, here's 2 things of flowers, even though there's 1,500 pages, just pick one of these, kind of trying to narrow stuff down, because
get everybody through that phase.
Like let's just narrow down some options, just pick 2 and then we'll go that way. So anyways, and so that was it was interesting to see the different roles, and like God gives us different gifts for reasons. So that's sort of how we kind of different roles we fell into. And so my mom's explaining, like, Rex, like, like we are all created differently to sort of be to have a balance, like in the word it says like your arm cannot, for a whole body, your arm, you have to have your arm and your legs, they all play different parts, right? So like you were the arm and all this different, it's kind of how he was bringing physical comfort to her. And we've been driving, and it's like a couple minutes, the car was silent, and my husband goes, yeah, and Tracy's the mouth. Like we all just were like so thankful for that just release of like, we just all laughed because Joe's so snarky. And he thought it was hilarious. And it's true. I mean, I was the one that was like, okay, just, and so, so yeah, finding the strength that like, that's just kind of what I just felt like that was what I was supposed to do, and one way to love on my family, and one way that my dad really just, I don't know, it was, even though we were grown, my dad was always the leader of our home. He just always kind of filled this space. Like you were talking about walking into our house and it was quiet. Yeah. Like that's weird, right? Because our house wasn't ever quiet. My dad would be the first to like greet you. Exactly. And he was always so excited to see you. And so there was just this way that I wanted to honor him during that time. I had people come up to me that said, hey, like this person I didn't know was like, your dad changed my life when we were standing in the driveway. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are, but I love that about him. My dad was there too. God, he just encouraged people. Like my mom, well, she's like, I just love that Christopher, because he says whenever Clint would talk to you, felt like somebody gave a damn. And she loves that. Like she just loves that because she's like, that just explains him so well.
Yeah. He's like I was saying, there's only been like a handful, and that's like maybe 2 or 3. Yeah. But of people that just really made you like feel like you were just worth it, damn. And like and I'm not saying not everybody, of course people care about what you do or who you are. But Clint made you really feel, even if you knew like, hey, nothing's going on for me right now. Right. But Clint just made you feel positive about that, and positive, like, hey, keep pushing, keep doing that. Like, and just happy to just know that you're around and you're there. And that's one of the biggest things that I miss dearly about him. Is like just looking at him and seeing him, and just those big eyes of his, and his smile when he would look at you. It never was a smile that was ever forced. And even I remember one time with your parents, I think this was years, like when we were in college, and we showed up to your house. This is like when we were all in college and you were living there, and your mom and your dad had apparently got into some fight. And your mom's like, we got into a fight. And Clint like looked at us, but that face of frustration and then release. Yeah. And he had that, to even being so upset or being so frustrated. Like he never had any ill feelings, or at least that's that you could say like, oh yeah, Clint's mad right now. He was so great. Yeah.
And he I respect him so much. He had, when I got older, he really opened up to me a lot about his past, and there was just a lot of garbage. Like there was just a lot of people who hurt him in his life, and nobody goes through life unscathed. I'm not saying, I don't want to, try to glorify him in any way, but a sense that like he had a lot of people hurt him, and he was not bitter at all, which always
Yeah.
just amazed me because I felt like he would tell me things about like abuse and stuff in his life, and I would
sure.
almost find myself getting like upset and bitter and angry as kind of like a protective reaction towards him
Yeah, of
because we were
course.
very close. And for him to just be like, I mean, everybody needs grace. I would be like, are you kidding me right now? I would want to, anyways, but
Yeah.
so it's just, I love to see that. And like you talking about them fighting, like that didn't happen a lot, but when it did, that was their reaction,
Yeah.
like we got to fight,
Yeah.
and then they're like, I don't know, you're like, this is awkward.
I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, and that's one thing, you've shed light on me, like with Clint's, with his struggles and his demons and his battles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of holds testament with people that, have kind of those trials is they never want people to go through what they did.
Yes.
And that was one thing that was very adamant with Clint, that me being someone that's had struggles and has hit walls, just as far as life, I get that. We would share that where it's, I just want to make you happy. I know what it's like being upset. I know what it's like being frustrated. And Clint, when you think about it like that, it makes you so sad because this man never failed at making people happy and comfortable.
Right.
And it makes me think, I'm sorry you had to go with whatever you went through in your life for you to be who you are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, your father was tremendous. He was really great.
Well, and he loved you like a son too. I mean, he did. He
For
did.
sure.
He did.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah.
So this podcast featuring Charlie, I think.
And that one's Thomas.
That's Thomas. Okay. I'm sure we'll be able to.
Sorry.
No, it'll be fine. Gives it that raw, authentic.
That's
feeling.
right. That's right.
But so, what's your most vivid memory of that time? I know that's a lot to ask for, but
No, that's not. I mean, honestly, like it's to talk about this and this time, and especially with somebody that I know and love so much, and that know and loves my family. It's therapeutic, I think, really, honestly. So don't hesitate to ask anything. But of course, it's not all about me. Sorry. I'm learning that the older I get, it is not about me. So I remember, I remember when we actually got there. There's a lot of vivid memories. It's kind of strange how, when our emotions are heightened, how well we remember. I feel like it goes either one way or the other. Like when our emotions are heightened, we just, I remember stuff so vividly. And I feel like my mom's the opposite. Sometimes when she tries to think of that time, I'll be like, do you remember when so-and-so said this or when this happened? Just even that week afterwards. And she doesn't remember it. And so not that I'm saying that's bad or wrong or anything. I think it's funny how our brains work anyways. But, so I remember, really still that morning, I think that I got the phone call and then trying to get to mom, like at the driving 5 hours with that dumb dog that we had. And I asked mom if I could make phone calls for her. Like, what can I do? I'm in this car for 5 hours, just not. And I remember calling people and I remember everyone's reactions and how different they were. And somebody was actually joking. They picked up the phone because I was calling them at like 7 a.m. I never called people that early. And she literally picked up the phone and said, "Who died?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, like, I'm gonna call you back." And so, I mean, it was just so, God, all the different reactions, but, and then actually getting there, running to my mom. And then after I'd been there for maybe an hour or so and kind of like, giving all the love and getting all the love and all the hugs and all the everything, I just remember I went into my dad's closet. And I don't know if this is because people do this on television or if because people say that like memory is so associated with smell, right? Like all those things. So I was like, I just want to go sit in his closet. So I went in his closet and I closed the door. And one, it was quiet. So that was kind of nice I don't mind craziness. I feel like I live in chaos sometimes with just two babies, and I don't mind. I'm an extrovert. Right. I don't mind that. I like chaos sometimes. And so, but just going into that quiet place and then being surrounded by like his clothes and his shoes and his, just all of his things, was amazing. And then that night or the night after, I can't remember, I had a dream. And not to get super weird, but I had a dream, and it lasted maybe 10 seconds. It was not long, but it was like my dad was standing there and he had this Hawaiian shirt on. I don't know if it's because he liked crazy Hawaiian shirts or what, but he did. Well, yeah, he had that Goodwill fashion. He was so proud if he got a 50-cent shirt, but he would wear anyway. So he had these so he had this Hawaiian shirt on, which I'm like, okay, maybe that just signifies like he was in paradise. Didn't have his glasses on. He looked a lot younger. Like that picture. Did I show you that picture when he had his like Abe Lincoln beard? Anyways, when he was a lot younger, I'll have to show it to you. When he and mom had the matching polos, but no. It's pretty great. No, I haven't seen that one. It's a treat. I'll show you. I'll save it for later. But that he looked younger. Anyways, and I'll never forget that. And he was just standing there waving at me, and there was this light behind him, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that was. I don't know if God was just trying to give me peace. I don't know, but I remember. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. There's a lot of memories from that week that I look back on, and life is so short. It's just so short. Like even in James, it says like this, our life's a mist or a vapor. And I'm like, that is so short, but it's okay though. That life just keeps going on. And what's the legacy that we're leaving here for our kids or our grandchildren or what, like it just, and I had people, like I was saying, that guy that came up to me, I had so many people that came to me and told me how much of an influence my dad had on them. And it was like this amazing, wake up call that was like, what are you doing with your life? Are you, which is, I think the biggest takeaway from this, like what, how, for me, it was like, how are you being used? Like, how is God, like, you are here, to serve, to love on people, to like, that's what I'm called here to do. And I'm, like, what am I doing? So that for me was probably the biggest thing that I'll remember taking away from all of this, that it's, that not that it's about my dad, but what am I going to do with this? Because life does go on.
Yeah, for sure.
And also just kind of being like, I think for the first year after he was gone, I was all like pissy and like, I only got my dad for 25 years. And I had this phrase that I loved that this pastor said, like, it's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay there. And I remember thinking like, okay, so that gives you grace. Like, I'm a human. It's okay for me to be pissed and upset.
Yeah, you're going to feel these things.
Right.
Like, that's right. Why we're human.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, about like, I remember January of like 2014 or maybe the end of 2013. So it had been almost exactly a year. I was like, okay, it's time. Not that I was like, not that I had to forget him, not that I couldn't ever cry again, or not that but I had been in this like pouty state, and I was just like, okay, it's like, let's go on. Like, it's
like the world's still moving.
Yes.
Like, you just kind of have to keep that,
right?
And know that,
yeah.
And that's kind of that's the weird thing with grief is, there is acceptance, but you still kind of carry like this, and then not burden, but just kind of just anger with you. That sometimes can like kind of lash out, and it's hard to kind of understand like, hey, like this happens, and we kind of have to like move towards this, or we're not healing from it.
Right.
And that's kind of more so the thing of like, you have to allow like that healing process to occur.
Yeah. And
because it's okay to be sad, but I think we kind of misconstrued like sadness for just not healing and not allowing ourselves to kind of like understand that those kind of go hand in hand.
Right.
But if you're not allowing like the healing part, like you're just sad.
Right.
And it's just resentment building up.
Exactly. That grief and sadness turns into bitterness and anger, and then it controls your life. And like, you can't let it do that. Even that's so much easier said than done. But I know, like, I recently had this, I was listening to a sermon, and it was like, the more that you make life about you, the more miserable you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, like, wow, if I'm like frustrated, or if I'm upset, or if I'm whatever, like, that's because I'm making it about me.
Yep.
Like, no matter what it is, I'm making it about me. Because if life's not about me, then I'm not going to get upset if somebody does something wrong to me. Now, I still will, and I'll be like, dang it, it's okay, it's fine, and then you move on. But yeah, so it's taught me a lot. Losing my dad taught me a lot. It's interesting. Yeah, it changes your life, but it can change it for the better. As weird and morbid as that sounds, like, it can bring you a lot of personal growth.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, it sucks, and I hate it. I want him back every day,
Yeah.
I do. So it's not that I'm like, oh, I've grown so much, no big deal. But like, God, I miss him all the time. But like, that's how it is. So
Yeah.
let's keep, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
Going.
you've kind of hit every question like out of the park, but yeah, there was a definite change from who you are then to now.
Yeah.
But it's been an amazing change and growth. And it sucks that you kind of have to, like, that's what it not necessarily took for you to grow or whatever, but see that growth and that change occur from that, I mean, is amazing and spectacular. Like, I mean, you've handled it with just so much grace and allowed it to just kind of make you who you are now, who is an even more amazing person than you were earlier.
Wow.
But yeah,
I don't know about that. You should you should interview my husband after this.
Trust me, Joe would agree. That's why he married you.
He saw the good, bad, and the ugly, I promise.
Yeah,
oh gosh,
for sure.
But you have to.
Yeah, everybody has seen it. None of us are perfect here. That is for sure. But so, what would you say to your father? Like, what would you say right now?
Oh gosh. I almost made it through without crying.
I'm sorry. I promise.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. No, it's fine. Oh God. Oh, I would let him know how much of an influence that he had. I think, and this is going to sound super judgy, but anytime that I look at people, if they're frustrated with their parents, and if it seems like a trivial thing, and even sometimes over the bigger things, like, I get it. Like, I mean, we're human and we make mistakes, and so do they. And so life just gets messy, but I always want to see just that reconciliation, because you don't know when it's going to happen. So I would always, because I didn't mention this earlier, but my dad died of a heart attack. And so it was just, he was fine one day and was just gone the next. But it was, I would tell him how huge of an influence that he was in my life. How he poured into me, that I could not be more thankful or grateful for the amazing dad that he was. Because I think we can get harsh with our parents, even the good ones,
yeah, for sure.
that we can judge them for either decisions they've made but golly, and especially being a parent now, I mean, oh God, I pray that my kids give me the grace that I need every day, because, oh God, it's a humbling experience. But I just have, that got one that I love him more than I could ever, I mean, thought that I could. It's weird when somebody's gone, how you just, like, I don't know, how you miss so many things about them that you didn't really maybe even notice when they were here, which sucks, right? Because you're like, I want to appreciate that when they're here. So appreciating him more. Yeah. When he was, I mean, I appreciated him, and we had a great relationship. Super thankful for him. Always.
Well, there's a lot of things that you kind of take in that now you understand.
Yeah.
Those things that you did appreciate.
Yeah.
Now you understand where that appreciation actually came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to also to let him know who he was in our family. Like, he was such a peacemaker. Like, he just, that's what he wanted. He never wanted anybody to be upset. It's funny when somebody's gone how much, like, I realize more and more. Now, I got a lot of my sassy mother in me. Shout out, Mom, I love you. But, like, but I have a lot of my dad in me, too. And it's like almost, I didn't really realize that until after he was gone. Which I don't know if some of those characteristics were more developed after he was gone. But no. I'm rambling now. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're perfect. You were perfect.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got enough.
Okay. I'm sure you did.
Just kidding. No, Tracy, sincerely, thank you so much.
You're
welcome. Yeah.
Thank you for.
You are a spitting image of both your parents and all of their best qualities.
Oh, thank you. That's very generous of you. Thank you. But no, I appreciate it. But thank you for caring enough.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Sweet.
I'm excited to share your story with everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Tracy again for allowing me to do this episode, as well as the Cowan and Sepak family. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, thanks for tuning in to Dee Dee Says Podcast, and we will see you next week. Peace.